What is up? Welcome into yet another edition of the Ben Garcia Show. Thank you so much for making us a part of your day. However you're watching, however you are following on Spotify, Apple Podcasts for free on the iHeartRadio app, or you want to put a face to the voice and you're watching on YouTube and you are doing there as well. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe. The Ben Garcia Show family is growing. We appreciate you, however you may be listening, however you may be watching, making us a part of your day. Let's jump right into it. Benstant reaction, another instant reaction of the Boston Celtics putting a beat down on the Cleveland Cavaliers, avenging that 28-point home loss from Thursday night, Wednesday night, regardless, avenging that 28-point home loss to the Cleveland Cavaliers, returning the favor, going into Rocket Mortgage Fieldhouse and defeating the Cleveland Cavaliers by a score of 106-93. So here were basically some keys to this game. Here's kind of what happened in a nutshell. The Cleveland Cavaliers just do not have enough shot makers. It's a whole lot of Donovan Mitchell, save us, and hopefully Karis LeVert can get hot. Hopefully Max Strus isn't a complete and total net negative in this game. And the Boston Celtics are just oozing with guys who can hit shots. Jaylen Brown, Peyton Pritchard had a couple of nice shots. Drew Holiday was pretty good in this game. You had guys like Derek White who continued to be scorching hot through this playoff postseason. And then Jayson Tatum wasn't completely... I hate to say this. It's not a pick on Jayson Tatum. Jayson Tatum was fine tonight. He was better in the first half than he was the second half, kind of shooting the Boston Celtics out of the game in one point, late in that third quarter, early in that fourth quarter, before they ultimately put the Cleveland Cavaliers to rest. And that's where I would like to start today's show. That's like where I would start today's rant. The Boston Celtics are only going to go as far as Jayson Tatum can take them. Jaylen Brown cannot be the best player on this team and win a championship. Derek White, although he's been awesome this postseason, cannot be the best player on this team for stretches if they're going to win an NBA championship. Jayson Tatum has to be the best player on this team for them to win an NBA championship. And that's where I have major concerns about this team. Jayson Tatum, for some reason, has been put in the echelon of superstar tier of players in the NBA, and I just don't buy it. I have been one of the few people who have been banging this drum for a long time. Jayson Tatum is a good player. At times, he can be really great. But for the most part, he's a star player. He's not a superstar player. A superstar player is the type of player that can put you on their back and say, it's okay, guys, hop on. I got you this game, this series, this playoff run. Nikola Jokic does that. Giannis Antetokounmpo does that. Luka Doncic at times does that. LeBron James for years did that. Kevin Durant used to do that. He doesn't anymore. Stephen Curry is still there for just being godfather to being there. He's there until we really see he's not. And guys like Anthony Edwards are jumping into there. Jayson Tatum is not that guy. Jayson Tatum is not a superstar. He has struggled mightily again in this postseason. This is something that we've seen from Jayson Tatum over the last few years. What happened in that 2022 NBA Finals? Jaylen Brown was the best player on that team, not Jayson Tatum. I can't fall for the Jayson Tatum love story like everyone else does. I get it. He's a 6'7", 6'8" wing. He defends pretty well. He is a good shot maker at times, but oftentimes he settles for these pull-up jumpers and they clink off the back of the backboard. That's what Jayson Tatum does at times. He shoots them out of games. And oftentimes, he doesn't have the dog mentality that Jaylen Brown possesses, but Jaylen Brown doesn't have the skill to be that dog. He doesn't rip the ball away from Jaylen Brown and the rest of the Boston Celtics and say, no. I got this. I want to be the alpha of this team. Jayson Tatum doesn't have an alpha bone in his body. He is certainly skilled enough to be that guy, but he just doesn't want to be that guy. And this Boston Celtics team, the reason why I'm not picking them to win the NBA championship, and the reason why I'm not picking them to just bulldoze over the New York Knicks in the next round, I would pick them in that series, but I'm not picking them to bulldoze over the New York Knicks in the next round. I'm just not. This Boston Celtics team and every team in the NBA takes on the personality of their best player. And the personality of Jayson Tatum is just too freaking passive at times. That's who Jayson Tatum is. He's not a dog, he's not an alpha, and he's definitely not a superstar in the NBA. He's a star player who's been miscast as a superstar. And this playoffs alone, he hasn't been good. I hate to rain on the Boston Celtics parade of beating the Cleveland Cavaliers, but these are just the facts. In this playoff run, Jayson Tatum's splits are just a notch over 40% for field goals. I have it right here. Jayson Tatum's splits in this playoff run this year, that's 8 games so far. This season, through 8 games in the playoffs, Jayson Tatum's splits are 41% from the field, 26% from 3, and 84% from the free throw line. Those are all significantly lower from his stats in the regular season. Jayson Tatum has regressed in the postseason once again. We've seen it in the 2022 NBA title championship series. In the NBA championship, we saw him in the finals shrivel up. We saw him last year against the Miami Heat, an 8 seed, shrivel up. And you're seeing Jayson Tatum again shrivel up in the postseason. Although he was pretty good tonight, it took him 24 shots to get to 33 points. That's not necessarily efficient. That's 44% from the field. And Jayson Tatum, through this playoff run, has turtle shelled once again. 41% from the field, 26% from 3, and 84% from the free throw charity strike. That's Jayson Tatum in the playoffs this year. That's not a superstar. That's not Anthony Edwards. That's not Nikola Jokic. That's not Luka Doncic. Jayson Tatum has not earned the right to be called a superstar. He's a good two-way player who's been miscast as a superstar. And this Boston Celtics team will only go as far as Jayson Tatum will take them. Not Jaylen Brown, not Derek White. It has to be their 6'8", 6'7" wing, who is a pretty good two-way player, but at times folds under pressure. We have all the data. No matter much how Boston Celtic fanboys want to take it, this is what the jury has said. Jayson Tatum is not a good playoff performer. He has not been. He's a good playoff performer, and at times he gets hot. But in the 2022 NBA Finals, shriveled up, turtle-shelled, Jaylen Brown was the best player of that team. In 2023, last year, against the Miami Heat, an 8 seed, shriveled up in that series and lost. I don't want to hear you blaming injuries. That was in Game 7. What happened the other 6 games? They didn't do enough to win that series, including Jayson Tatum. And this year, although their team is up 2-1 in the playoffs in the second round, Jayson Tatum, through 8 games, has not been particularly good. That's just what happens. That is just what has happened with Jayson Tatum. He has not been very good in the playoffs. He's not a clutch performer. He's not a superstar player that elevates to a different tier in the playoffs. That's just not him. And this team will only go as far as Jayson Tatum will take them. So although it's likely they'll make the NBA Finals, if a team with a real dog like Nikola Jokic or Anthony Edwards makes it to the finals, the Boston Celtics will lose that. And making to the Eastern Conference Finals again won't cut it in Boston. And it doesn't matter what Boston fanboys say. I've been critical of Jayson Tatum for a long time, but I've only been critical because other people of note, other journalists, other broadcasters have stuck this guy in the superstar echelon tier when he's just not there yet. He's a star player. He's a great two-way player. But at times shrivels when his team needs him most. And that's what fears me the most about the Boston Celtics title chances.